Toastmasters, which the president is here, and then we have the semi-Toastmasters. So that's been the journey so far.
Just continue.
Sorry.
Just continue. That has been the journey.
So that has been the journey to where we are today. And after, when 3 years ago we decided, let's start and get this thing out of the country and out of Nairobi. And that's how we started other clubs in Nakuru, in Mombasa, and across the border into Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi. And that's how we have a territorial council that now runs everything in the country.
Right, thank you. Yeah, I wanted you to really bide your time so that I can get Matthew fixed to just have his mic as well. Let's hear from Angela. Right, good morning, good to see you.
Good morning, Debarl. Always a pleasure to be here.
Right, you can take us through also your journey of a Toastmaster, what has been the experience so far. And I think some years back also you won an award. You can tell us more about that as well.
Right. So Toastmasters for me has been a transformational journey, really. And it's about the most impactful leadership course I've been in. I've been in leadership positions in corporate organizations in this country. But the Toastmasters environment is friendly, it's supportive, you learn by doing, and that's where the paradigm shift begins to happen. And through Toastmasters, I have succeeded in employment. I've since left employment, and I'm giving the gift of Toastmasters back to people as a public speaking coach. And what Toastmasters will do for you is transform your ability to speak and be heard. Because all of us are looking to influence in our various spheres. And that's the gift Toastmasters will give you. You'll be a great listener, and you'll be an equally good speaker.
Oh, fantastic. Let's hear from Matthew George. Good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Debarl. Right. My Toastmasters journey started about 6 years ago.
Okay.
And ever since then, as everyone on this panel has mentioned, it's a transformational journey. And there's a reason why it's available in nearly every country on the globe.
Okay.
And about 345,000 members worldwide. It's because it's a tried and tested method. It's where you give speech projects or leadership projects in a closed environment where you're given feedback by your peers. And it's baptism by fire, literally, because you're thrown into the deep end from the beginning and you're given feedback as you go along. Whereas most educational programs, when it comes to public speaking, are more educational resource based, whereas this is learning by doing. And it works.
It works. Yeah. It works. And of course, yes, we're going to have a slice of this today with our viewers. You get to know what Toastmasters is all about. They've given you just, you know, a little bit, just a test of what it is. But today we want to drill deeper and just give you that experience, what happens in the clubs. And yes, if you're interested in public speaking, then this should be a good show for you to watch till the end. So our panelists are already here. We're still eagerly waiting for Alligator Makori to join us. He's had a hitch with his car this morning, so he called me up. He told me, oh, wherever I am, I can't leave my car. I've stalled somewhere where I can't see anyone to help me. And it's pretty early in the morning, so we're eagerly waiting for him to join us also much later in the course of the program. And we'll be having prepared speeches from our panelists, and then we'll have them also evaluating each other. And we are going also to have a joke session today. Table topics, also impromptu speeches, right? So this is where we get to see if someone can actually be thinking, of course, quick off the mark when it comes to impromptu speeches. So that is a making of a public speaker. But before we drill deeper, we take a keener look at what is headlining the front pages of the dailies today, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We begin with the Daily Nation. This is your splash today. Johor demolition order Joel's cost. That is what we have on the front page of the Daily Nation. And this is actually the Mombasa edition. I will show you momentarily what we do have on the front page of the Nairobi edition. If you're waking up in Mombasa, this is your headline. Impunity. Land Commission says public land, cemetery, beaches have been grabbed. Mombasa governor issues notice to developers who build on public land to demolish their structures within 3 weeks, or his bulldozers will. And we have also Theresa May here, the Prime Minister of the UK. She was in the country. United Kingdom Prime Minister Theresa May inspects the Guard of Honor at State House, Nairobi yesterday during her one-day state visit to Kenya. That is what we have on the front page of the Daily Nation today. A quick look, I will show you what we have on the hard copy of the Nairobi edition, how the British lost their place in Kenya. This is what we have as a splash on the front page of the Daily Nation today. The Nairobi edition coming back after 30-year absence. PM finds a country that has moved on. And you can see that also picture that we saw on the front page of the Daily Nation edition in Mombasa. That is the Mombasa edition. UK leader offers security deal to tackle terrorism, but after years of travel advisories, tough immigration rules and diplomatic distance, is too little, too late? A probing question there, and you have the story well fleshed out on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation today. Also, maize scandal. PS Lesiampe denies charges. That is what we have on the front page of the Daily Nation as well. A sidebar story there. This continues on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation this morning. Let's take a quick look also at what we have on the front page of The Standard. And this is your headline today. 5 billion shillings maize saga lands PS in court, it says. Caught up in dragnet, agriculture PS and former Cyril's chief drawn into government's corruption purge of a controversial purchase of maize stocks through state agency. And you have this story continuing on page 4 and 5 of The Standard. And these are the faces as well that were arraigned in court yesterday. We have Colonel Gelechei, failure to comply with the law by buying maize beyond the approved budget. Those are one or some of the charges that they had, and neglect of duty, I should say, by failure to ensure prudent use of funds. Also, Newton Terror, 2 counts, failure to comply with the law by buying maize beyond the approved budget. Also, neglect of official duty by purchasing maize from farmers who had not been vetted. Also, PS Richard Lesiampe, 2 counts, failure to comply. Let me try and do that for you. You can see it clearly there. Zoom out or zoom in there. We have failure to comply with the law and without the approval of the Strategic Food Reserve Oversight Board, unauthorized spending of public money, failing to follow the law while managing public funds. Prosecution claimed he also did not comply with the Public Finance Management Act. Still on the front page of The Standard today. Questions as key suspect in murder attempt now found dead in police puzzle. Police claim the man who shot county executive committed suicide, but sources say he could have been eliminated to cover up the crime. That is what we have on the front page of The Standard, but we have all the gritty details as well for you in our news bulletin this morning. The Star is holding this particular splash for you. Uhuru wants me out. This is what Mwilu is saying now. This is says president's statement understood to mean there will be retaliation. Is this a fix? A probing question there. DCJ tells court in sworn affidavit that the president is making good his threat to fix the judiciary for nullifying his win last year. This is well fleshed out for you on page 6 of The Star today. Also, mysterious main suspect in attempted murder of ex-Garissa CEC commits suicide. That story tucked away on page 2. And maize scandal, how farmers' cash was looted and NCPB paid a family 745 million shillings. Get this, 745 million shillings. That is money going to one family via corruption. And all about diplomacy. Anti-graft war gets boost as UK agrees to return stolen cash. And House of Disgrace, Muturi orders probe into sugar bribery claims. Report is another story that you want to follow also inside The Star. People Daily is up next, and this is what we have there. Allow me to just dash through that so that you can't... yes, there you go. This is the splash today. And rattled Mwilu back into office, it says. DCJ arrived at Supreme Court building at 7:30 a.m. and headed into a Judicial Service Commission meeting that kicked off at 9 a.m. ending at 5:30. That story continues on page 4 of the People Daily. Also, UK Premier vows to hit corruption networks. It's all about crackdown. May says pact with President Uhuru to repatriate ill-gotten wealth stashed in the United Kingdom. The story continues on page 6 and 7 of the People Daily this morning. I want to show you what we have also on the front page of the Business Daily. Allow me to pick it up quickly for you. Before I head there, I still have the time for Leo, but I shall do that much later. We have Business Daily, and this is your headline today. Inside Mwilu's 131 million shillings deal or deals with Imperial Bank. Court filings reveal intricate loan and land purchase deals with collapsed bank. And tucked away also, this was says that embattled Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu was a regular customer of the collapsed Imperial Bank, whose eye for prime parcels of land saw her take out at least 131 million shillings in loans. Documents filed in court have revealed. You can find this, or you can find this particular report on page 4 of the Business Daily this morning. A standalone picture there. UK-Kenya deal. President Uhuru Kenyatta with British Prime Minister Theresa May at State House yesterday. The two leaders signed an agreement on the repatriation of assets and process of corruption from the UK to Kenya. And this story continues on page 7 of the Business Daily. Eyes on Uhuru as MPs reject Treasury's taxes. Parliament's rejection of nearly all new tax proposals by the Treasury for the current financial year has turned the focus on President Uhuru Kenyatta, whose final signature is needed to give amendments to the Finance Bill 2018 legal force. You can follow that story also on page 4 of the Business Daily. Detectives close in on Nandi IDP's fraud suspects. Directorate of Criminal Investigations detectives have zeroed in on a cartel of 21 individuals said to be behind fraudulent schemes that led to loss of billions of shillings in compensation funds for internally displaced persons in Nandi. And that story also continues on page 4 of the Business Daily as well. Also, you can look at the teasers there, where you have CA to hit telcos harder for poor services and 38.42 billion shillings, or that is 38.42 billion shillings. Yes, that is the gross premiums in the medical class dropped 0.71% to 38.42 billion shillings in 2017. That tucked away on page 28 of the Business Daily. I want to show you what we do have on the front page of Taifa Leo. Allow me to just lift it up quickly for you so that you can see what it is there. That is on the front page of Taifa Leo. And this is your splash today on the front page of Taifa Leo. It says Minofu ya May. That is a splash. You can follow that story on page 2 of Taifa Leo as well. We cross over now to the regions. Let's just go to Tanzania and see what the Citizen is holding for us. If you're waking up in Tanzania, this is your splash. Top government officials mum on 336 billion shillings. TANESCO verdict. Still no firm public response from the government after the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes upheld an early decision. This story continues on page 2 of the Citizen. If you're waking up in Tanzania, also Magufuli backs Mpango in container controversy. He says no one has the mandate to receive donations on behalf of the government without being authorized by the finance minister. You can follow that story on page 2 and you can see a related picture there. Caption reads, President John Magufuli addressing district and civic leaders in Chato, Geita region yesterday. Right, also is Chato District Executive Director Elud Maiteleke. You can follow that story, as I've mentioned, on page 2. Still in Tanzania, we have the Mwananchi for you. Magufuli Shushia Nyundo Makondo, or Makonda, it says. Magufuli Shushia Nyundo Makonda. That is a splash on the front page of Mwananchi in Tanzania. And you have all the gritty details of this also on page 8 of the Mwananchi in Tanzania. We move on and we cross over now to Uganda, where we have the Daily Monitor for you. And this is your headline. Bobby Zake blocked from leaving the country. And this is the latest. The MPs were stopped from flying out of the country for further treatment. Police later escorted them to Kirudu Hospital, where they were admitted. That story continues on page 3. Stuck. This is the latest. Bobby Wine, right now we're given to understand he's in custody, and you can see him here. MP Zake faces treason charges after arrest at airport. And we can see also the caption reads here, Mitiani Mitiana Municipality MP Francis Zake is rolled out of an ambulance upon arrival at Entebbe Airport at 11:40 a.m. yesterday. He was scheduled to fly out to India for specialized treatment for injuries he allegedly suffered on the eve of the Arua municipality by-election. You can follow this story inside the Daily Monitor. Today also surveys boasts jail for land title forgery in Kampala. The acting commissioner for surveys and mappings in the lands ministry was detained pending investigations into alleged falsification of documents for land in Wike district. Let's see what we have in Rwanda. Rwanda exports rise as trade deficit narrows. That is a splash today. And it says Rwanda's exports accelerated in the first half of this year, driven by government's efforts to support the Made in Rwanda agenda, as well as good performance of non-traditional exports, helping to bridge the country's trade deficit. You can follow that story on page 5 of the New Times in Rwanda. NEC says ready for Monday polls. The National Electoral Commission staff, they can be seen here loading a truck with materials and equipment that will be used during the parliamentary elections next week. NEC yesterday started dispatching voting materials to polling stations across the country. A step officials said is one of the last stages in the preparations for Monday's parliamentary elections. And this story continues on page 4 of the New Times in Rwanda. And just to cover up or surmise all the newspaper in the region, this is East African this week, and this is what has been headlined on the front page of East African. Bobby Wine's spectre is haunting Museveni. Protest rock Kampala as well condemns rapper politicians' brutalization. And of course, you can see the letters according to the Daily Monitor is yes, him and also Zake have been also arrested again while they were trying to leave the country to seek medical treatment in the US and India. And also a cyber story there, trade tops agenda of Uhuru visit. This was, of course, has been overtaken by event, but he's back in the country. This was in light of course, the US trip that President Uhuru Kenyatta made this week. That is what has been the splash on the front page of East African. And also you can find out why Fly 40 stopped flying to South Sudan. All the gritty details of this full report on page 6 of the East African this week. Lastly, let me show you what we have on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. And this is the latest, of course, the hours notwithstanding, between Kenya and the US. And it says farewell to McCain begins in home state Arizona capital. We'll give you all the gritty details. And we can see here flag fold Cindy McCain, wife of Senator John McCain, led thousands of mourners at a service at the state capitol in Phoenix on Wednesday. The war hero and former GOP presidential candidate who died Saturday will lie in state again at the US Capitol on Friday. This is what we have on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Corporate profits take off. US firm posts largest year-over-year gain in 6 years, fueled by tax cuts and solid economy. That is what we have on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Canada, USA trade talks are on track. You can follow that story also inside the Wall Street Journal. Finally, the Editorial Cartoons. This is what Munane has done for you inside the Daily Nation today. Right, everyone is straining out the leash to actually get a piece of the Kenyan flag. This is in light of what we've been seeing recently with the leaders. President Uhuru Kenyatta heading to the US, of course, striking a deal with President Trump. Also, Theresa May was here yesterday, and later the president will be heading also to China. And of course, there will be that particular summit in China with President Xi Jinping. This is what Marina has captured for you. Let's see what we have inside the Star today, according to Victor. Post-Brexit soft landing, right? Is Africa the place? Well, wow. That is what now Victor has done for you this morning. Theresa May also seeking to have trade deals in Africa. This is maybe just to say that blowbacks about the Brexit with a no deal from the European Union. So let's see what we have also inside the Standard as well, right? And this is what Gado has drawn for us today. Video assisted referee on Mwilu's case, right? They're playing back the issues and looking on. So this is what Gado has done for us today. You can grab a copy of the Standard for you to see that as well. So those are your dailies this morning. Make sure you grab a copy of the Daily Nation, the Standard, the Star, whichever paper that really floats you. But for now, let's swing for the fences, as always, by looking at the highlights. Kenya's Okeo banned for life for taking Nike money. Police arrest 3 students for killing teacher in Nyakach. And UEFA Player of the Year, Modric voted Player of the Year. Beckham wins also an award. Now, good morning. Kenya's Okeo is a story that we begin with. He's a former senior Kenyan athletic official that has been banned from the sport for life and fined $50,000 after being found guilty of diverting thousands of dollars of sponsorship payment for his personal use. Okeyo, a former Secretary General and Vice President of Athletics Kenya, as well as a member of the IAAF Council, and Joseph Kinyua, a former treasurer of the Athletics Kenya, were investigated by the Sports Ethics Board in relation to payments made by U.S. sportswear company Nike over a 9-year period. In the judgment released on Thursday, the board found that Okeyo had not disclosed many of the payments to Athletics Kenya, breaching the ethics code on 10 occasions after taking sponsorship money that could have been better directed to support the development of the sports of athletics in Kenya, and expelled him from his position on the IAAF Council. Kenya was found by the board to have engaged in similar conduct, but as his position was not bound by the ethics rules in place at the time, he escaped sanction. Both men denied wrongdoing, saying that the money was legitimate payment for their own expenses and expertise.
10 women, and then you say, right, this is the team, and this team now must go for residential training camp, and thereafter we come out with the final 6.
And police are holding 2 secondary school boys and a university student suspected of hacking to death a secondary school teacher in Nyakach, Kisumu County. The 3 are said to have attacked the teacher last night following a disagreement at a local pub. Okukusa has more.
It is inside this pub known as Heraremo where the disagreement between the slain teacher and his suspected killers is said to have started. That was last night at around 10 p.m.
Alapo kuna vijana walikuja hapo, vijana watatu kutoka Sondu na pikipiki, na wakaingia ndani, wakaanza kufanya nini? Wakaanza kukoroga watu hapo ndani. Alafu tukaita mwenye bar akakuja na akawatoa na wakaenda.
Johnson Lai is one of the people who accompanied the deceased Manasseh Omaramu to the bar. He says the young men later returned but were denied entry into the pub by the bar owner.
Vile walikuwa naenda, walikuwa wanapoint mwalimu. Kijana mmoja alisema, ati wewe unafundisha kwa shule mama yangu pia anafundisha. Sasa kuna kitu utaniambia.
Moments later, the teacher and his 2 companions left the pub using a motorbike. But as fate would have it, the bike broke down just a few meters away from the bar.
Kitambo tujarudisha chain, bado kwa process ya kurudisha hiyo chain, tukasikia tu mapanga ndio imeanza. Sasa huyu unapiga nduru huku, huyu unapiga huku, na huyu unapiga huku. Mimi nikakimbia, nikaenda nikaanguka, nikapoteza tafahamu.
Johnson escaped with a deep panga cut on the right side of his head, while the second victim, Stephen Ongondo, was rushed to Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital in critical condition. Manasseh, who hails from Tesu in the county of Busia, was a teacher at Gu Secondary School where he reported 3 days ago after the August holidays. 2 of his suspected killers are said to be Form 4 students at Ramba and Wangapala Secondary School, while the third one is alleged to be a student at Moi University in Eldoret. The trio is in police custody. Okukusa, NTV.
Now here in Nairobi, police now say the main suspect in the shooting of a former county executive for finance in Garissa County committed suicide inside his cell at the Parklands police station. David Mwai was among 3 suspects, including Garissa Governor Ali Korani, arrested in connection to the attempted murder of a county executive after he attended prayers at a mosque in Kileleshwa. Kevin Matai has more on this.
This CCTV footage recorded at a restaurant in Kileleshwa shows this man wearing a cap entering the restaurant at around 8:30 p.m. A few minutes later, he walks to the parking lot where Idris Mukhtar, the former county executive in charge of finance in Garissa County, had parked his vehicle and immediately opens fire. He shot at him 3 times. The lone gunman was a few minutes after the shooting, seen walking out of the gate and stopped. He disappeared into the dark night. The security guard is seen walking towards the gate after hearing the gunshots. A week later, detectives arrived at the scene of crime and examined the footage from the surveillance cameras and arrested 3 people: Garissa Governor Ali Korane, David Mwai, and another suspect who is yet to be identified. They were then subjected to thorough questioning at the regional police headquarters in Nairobi area, after which detectives forwarded their files to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for further directions. Mwai and his accomplice, in the meantime, remained in police custody. Mwai at the Parklands police station and his accomplice at Gigiri. Police at Parklands police station told NTV that Mwai committed suicide in his cell. They said he had, however, provided important information on the attempted murder. This vehicle is said to have been impounded by flying squad officers at a garage in Nairobi and is believed to have been the one trailing Idris. Police say the vehicle was being repainted using different colors and would later be sold. Mukhtar's family says that their kin is still fighting for his life in the intensive care unit with a bullet still lodged in his head. Kevin Mutai, NTV.
Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta says there is no turning back in the war on corruption and that it will only get more painful. And in widening the dragnet, President Uhuru and British Prime Minister Theresa May have signed a pact to repatriate proceeds of corruption stashed in the UK. This is the third such argument after Switzerland and Jersey.
Depriving people, therefore, of the proceeds of their crimes is one major detriment against this vice, and we are determined to make it painfully unrewarding and expensive to get involved in corruption in Kenya. Fighting corruption is an important aspect of my own legacy program, together with the unity of the country and the attainment of our big four centered around investment in housing, manufacturing, security, food security and universal health. And it strengthens the ability of our two countries and our legal systems to be able to work together to ensure that any assets that may have been acquired in the United Kingdom that are associated with corruption or any other such crime are successfully returned and put to use for the benefit of the people of the Republic.
And I welcome the commitment you've made to drive this vice from your country. We stand with you in this fight. I also welcome, Mr. President, your commitment to political reconciliation in this country. The UK stands ready to support an inclusive building bridges process as you work to further strengthen your democracy and your
Now, British Prime Minister Theresa May also danced with Kenyan Scouts on Thursday at the United Nations Nairobi campus for the launch of an initiative to inspire young people to combat single-use plastic pollution. May joined UN Environment Chief Eric Solheim to introduce a new plastic challenge badge for Girl Guides and Scouts aimed at educating young people in or on the importance of reducing plastic consumption. After dancing with the British leader, Kenyan Scouts showed her their inventive takes on reusing plastic, including a soccer ball made of plastic bags, which May later enthusiastically kicked. Earlier on, also, May met with President Uhuru Kenyatta, which we just showed you as she rounded off the last leg of our 3-stop tour in Africa.
And stopping the use of plastic, it's about a more sensible use and making use of recyclable plastics. And I've been hugely impressed by what I've seen today from each of the Scout troops here and the differences that you have been making. And we can make that difference. And it's why I'm so pleased that we've been working with UN Environment and with the World Association of Girl Guides and Scouts to introduce and to launch the new Plastic Challenge badge, which will be first awarded here in Kenya. And then it will be rolled out across African countries as part of the Clean Ocean Alliance.
We need good political leadership, brave political leaders to tell us where to go. One such government is the government of the United Kingdom. They have shown the way to the world on plastic. Fortunately, they are not alone. Kenya has prohibited plastic bags. Rwanda, our neighbors, may be the cleanest nation in the world, or at least one of them. Prime Minister of India has promised to phase out plastic bags completely from India by 2022. Such a brave promise. But let me tell you, one of the most leading government of this is the government of the United Kingdom that put in place any number of policies in the United Kingdom which we want to see, and they're also leading the world.
Now, 2 children were killed after a missile struck a house in Tripoli, Libya, during ongoing clashes between rival Libyan factions, according to the local municipal council. The children, 14 and 6, were reportedly playing in the garden when the missile hit their home. Clashes between warring factions in Tripoli. on time there, we were actually talking about Toastmasters. So what is Toastmasters? You're taking your toast this morning, but Toastmasters and toast, they're diametrically different. And every Toastmasters journey starts with a single speech. Joining Toastmasters allow people to build their skills they need to become more confident public speakers and stronger leaders in every area of their lives. Toastmasters offers a proven education program that comprises 2 tracks: communication and leadership. The opportunities for growth are unlimited. Since individuals join with their own unique goals and needs for improvement, they are able to continue to develop their communication and leadership skills for as long as they wish. And many members continue on in the program throughout their lives, as the process of self-improvement never stops. Now, the journey is different for every individual, but one thing remains constant. Toastmasters gives you the ability to speak and be heard. And that is what we exactly want to do this morning. We introduce our panelists today. They will give us a slice of a Toastmasters experience, right? We get to see the finest speakers as well, evaluated, they give their speeches, impromptu speeches. Also, they talk to us about what Toastmasters is all about. So this is what we're going to be doing this morning. And they're here with us today. Allow me to introduce them to you. If you missed us at the top of the hour, I will walk over now to our guests. And allow me to introduce to you Monica Oraro. She's the president of Toastmasters Kenya. Also, we do have Jared Ouko. We do have as well Alligator Makori. We shall give them a proper introduction much later. We have Angela Larea. Also, we do have Matthew George. Matthew George is also the president of SmartSpeak. Gentlemen and ladies, good morning again.
Good morning.
And good to see you, Alligator Makori. We actually told viewers that, yes, you're stuck somewhere this morning. Okay, your tires didn't go flat. Actually,
not at all.
It's actually your engine that, your batteries that were low. But good to see you, nonetheless.
Said that good people don't get late, they only get delayed.
They only get delayed.
And
Fine.
that is the truism right there.
Fantastic. Because of time, we want to actually go deeper into Toastmasters. I think at the top of the hour, we actually talked about it and we gave our viewers a slice of what Toastmasters is all about this morning. But we want to get the experience, because it's all about the experiential aspect that you get to understand what Toastmasters is all about. So this morning, we want to begin with a business session where we'll actually give it to, Matthew George to just give us a snippet of what the business session is all about. This is also part of the program of Toastmasters. So automatically, I'll be the Toastmaster today because I'm the host. So you'll allow me to just get that position, which I think for me, it suits me right to the ground because I'm a host. Right, let's just give it to the president.
Calling meeting number 3 of AM Live Toastmasters Club to order. Good morning, Toastmasters, and welcome guests.
Good morning.
How are you all this morning?
Great.
Very well.
How are the roads, Alligator? How's your car?
The roads had alligators for Makori.
Well, we have an exciting meeting lined up for you. And for the benefit of the guests, the club meeting will have 3 main portions. That's the prepared speeches, the evaluations of the prepared speeches, and finally, the table topic session, which is the impromptu speaking session. You won't be required to participate in the speaking and the evaluations, but when it comes to the table topics, you might be called upon as guests, so be prepared. But first, on to the business session.
Yes.
How many members received the minutes? All right. Any amendments to the minutes? All right. I'll need a member to propose the minutes. Monica, and I'll need a member to second. All right, so the minutes of meeting number 2 of AM Live Toastmasters are officially approved. Now that that's done, it is my pleasure to welcome to the podium the Toastmaster of the day. You know him from your TV screens.
Yes.
He is the man with the bass, and he gives us the news on NTV bright and early every morning. Please welcome with a round of applause, Debarl Inea.
Thank you. So I'm allowed to walk to the podium, right?
Please.
Okay, I didn't see this aspect of me going to the lecture. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Mr. President. And of course, I want also to introduce The theme of the day, because this is an experience that we want to give to our viewers today. Many of them, they've not seen this on TV, but we have a handy opportunity today to actually go through what Toastmaster is all about. And let me just also be quick off the mark to say the theme of the day is a quote. And the quote goes like this: inch by inch, life is a cinch. Yard by yard, life is hard. So I know we gave you some instructions yesterday regarding to that particular theme that this particular session will be running under. And I wonder, what did you really have in mind when you had or you read about this particular theme? Inch by inch, life is a cinch. Yard by yard, life is hard. Angela.
Oh, caught me off guard. It reminded me of an African proverb which says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others.
Yes.
It's really just about pulling resources and moving forward collectively with what you've got and with the people around you. That's what I took out of it.
All right. Alligator Makori.
There is a Chinese proverb which says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And that's what it takes, really. In my view, inch by inch life is a cinch implies that if you are going to make a long journey successfully,
yes,
then you must take a step at a time. If you think about the whole stretch of this journey, then it will seem to be very daunting. Therefore, life is to be taken a bite at a time.
A bite at a time. Jared Oko.
What comes to my mind is the quote, bit by bit fills a gallon. And that basically means step by step. On any journey that starts with one step, goes step by step to complete the journey. Yes.
Thank you. Monica.
For me, I took a completely different approach from the other panelists. I looked at it in the way that life can be as easy or as difficult as you make it.
Thank you. Right, thank you. Right, I think all of you got it aptly. Smack dab in the middle. That's it. And of course, we will hear from you as well. So this morning, I just want us also to go through some of the roles that we'll be taking this morning. I'll walk over to my desk there where I've left my phone, if you may allow me, just to pick it up so that, yes, I don't mess up the roles this morning. You know, it can be getting a bit murky on TV. So for the sake of just having a neat show, let me try and pick it up so that I don't get mixed up because I have it all here. Right, we have Monica Oraro. She's going to be the grammarian of the day. And Monica Oraro is a payment system specialist at the Central Bank of Kenya. She's responsible for developing and implementing policy related to payment systems. She began her career in investment banking, working in the global market equity and derivative teams at Deutsche Bank in London, where she was responsible for implementation of new trading system and facilitating entrance into new markets. Monica holds an MSc in computer science from University College London, and she is a current president at Kwanza Kenya Toastmasters. Monica, you can tell us a bit of what your role really entails.
Good morning again, Debarl.
Good morning.
And good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My role today will be to act as the grammar police. So the first thing I'm going to do is introduce the word of the day, which is laborious.
Laborious.
Yes. So laborious is an adjective. It means involving great exertion or long effort. An example in a sentence: the trouble is that very few of their laborious explanations stick in the memory. My second role is to monitor the good use and improper use of the English language, and I will give a report at the end of the meeting.
All right, thank you very much. All right, the next role that we're going to take tonight is that of our counter, and we have Jared Uko, who's going to also tell us a bit of what our counter is all about this morning. Jared Uko is I think this will be a very laborious way of introducing him, because I wonder, what do I pick and what do I leave? Because he's got, many titles behind his name as well. A very instrumental past president, Toastmasters International Kenya chapter, advanced speaker, Toastmasters International, that is communication and leadership. First runner-up International Speech Contest 2007, 2008, Toastmasters International, an executive leadership and management coach, panel coach, Ken Blanchard Companies, that is in the USA, also rated among top 100 coaches globally by World Coaching Congress. He's an author as well, Goal Setting and Dreams, an audio program there, also accredited predictive index practitioner, global organization development tool, founder International Coach Federation Kenya chapter, and the first president also of that federation as well. And the list goes on and on. Also, he loves fish and ugali. Jared.
Thank you. Our counter role is a very critical part of the program of a Toastmasters meeting. And in many occasions when we get up to speak before people, we have got pause fillers like, you see what? So those filler words punctuate our conversation and disrupts us from getting our thought process going in the right direction. So my role is to pick those moments when you use, for example, a repeated word or a longer pause, and I will tap the glass when you do that to just alert you that you are using it. Then I will count and give a report at the end of the meeting. That is my first role. My second role is the general evaluator or the master evaluator. This is an individual who looks at each and every part of the program and at the end picks up a feedback that then is offered for the improvement of the following meeting. So that's why this is the only club in the country or in the world where meetings start on time and end on time, and where you learn by doing and by having different evaluators or people who give you feedback as you speak. So those are the roles that I'm going to be taking today.
All right. Alligator Makori is an engineer and also the Vice President of Education at the Ruaraka Toastmasters Club that meets at the Kenya Breweries Limited headquarters in Ruaraka. And he's here also to tell us this morning about his role. This is not really part of course, the prepared speech that is going to be evaluated. We have those roles, but you're going to be the joke master, and also you're going to evaluate a speech this morning. Just give us a snippet of that as well.
The joke master's role in a Toastmasters meeting is really to make the meeting fun, to let people laugh. Basically, give jokes that will hopefully make people laugh, and invite the audience also to contribute jokes of their own, so that the meeting is lively and the Toastmasters place is exactly what it should be, a fun place in which to learn and to grow. And the role of an evaluator really is to give feedback that's constructive for whatever role it is that you're evaluating. So I'll be taking that role as well.
All right. Let's hear also from Angela Rarea. She's going to be the Heartmaster, and I hope you're not counting my R's. That is Jared. We've not begun yet, have we?
Began a long time ago.
Angela Rarea is a certified executive coach and public speaking guru. She is a managing partner of Upscale Africa Limited, an integrated solutions provider working with organizations and individuals towards bridging the soft skills gap for personal and professional effectiveness. Angela?
Good speakers are even better listeners. And as Stephen Covey reminds us in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, many people listen not with the intent to understand, but with the intent to reply, and which causes communication breakdown between individuals and teams all the time. As your Heartmaster, the word Heart means to listen. I will be testing your listening skills by asking questions on anything and everything that has been uttered during this meeting. And I will present my report at the end of this meeting.
Fantastic. Right, we want also to go finally into the prepared speeches, having not left out any role, I think. And if there is a role that I've left, please kindly remind me so that we can go through it right now. Thank you, Jared. I had it. I'll be now more cautious about it. But we go now to the prepared speeches. And Angela, you will be evaluating Monica Oraro. She's speaking this morning on Project 4, which requires her, maybe just to give you an executive summary, it says words are powerful. They convey your message and influence the audience and its perception of you. Word choice and arrangements need just as much attention as speech organization and purpose. Select clear, accurate, descriptive, and short words. The best communicate your ideas. That best, I should say, communicate your ideas and arrange them effectively and correctly. Every word should add value, meaning, and punch to the speech. I don't know if you have your... Yes, you can tell us about the objectives of the speech, please.
The specific objectives of this speech are: 1, Monica is expected to select the right words and sentence structure to communicate her ideas clearly, accurately, and vividly. She is also required to use rhetorical devices to enhance and emphasize ideas. And finally, she is also required to eliminate jargon and unnecessary words, as well as to use correct grammar. And she has 5 to 7 minutes to deliver her speech, which is entitled Back to the Origins. Back to the Origins, Monica Oraro.
Back to the Origins, Monica Oraro. As she comes, also just to remind you, I'm also the timer. I shall be keeping time, and also the Toastmasters of the day, and I'll make sure also that Angela doesn't go beyond, not 7, but we'll give you 6 minutes for now, because of this is TV. This is not our normal club that we have all the well of time to do it. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Standing in the heart of Barcelona in Spain is one of the city's most iconic landmarks that is equally revered and reviled. George Orwell, a famous literary, describes it as the most hideous building in the world. Yet, according to the Barcelona Tourist Guide, it is the most visited tourist attraction in the country, attracting over 3 million visitors per year. This is almost double the estimated number of international tourist arrivals in Kenya in 2017. It is the legacy of Antoni Gaudi, widely considered to be the most revolutionary architect of the 20th century. He's notable for many reasons, but today I would like to highlight just 2 of those reasons. The first, his extraordinary vision, and the second, his use of nature. Action without vision merely passes time. Vision without action is merely a dream. Action with vision can change the world. Joel A. Baker. In 1883, aged just 31, Antoni Gaudi was commissioned to build the Sagrada Familia. His vision was to build the tallest church in the world, a soaring narrative of his spiritual beliefs. He knew his vision was so enormous that he would not achieve it in his lifetime. Therefore, before his death in 1926, he turned his plans into 3-dimensional diagrams instead of conventional drawings. This allowed the architects and craftsmen that came after him to use modern technology to realize his vision. Today, the Sagrada Familia is 120 meters long, 90 centimeters wide, the size of a large football pitch. It has a capacity of 14,000 people. When it is completed in 2026, its central tower will be 170 meters long. This is higher than the tallest building in Nairobi, which is the UAP Tower in Upper Hill. The second reason that Gaudi is renowned for is his use of nature. He famously said, "Nothing is art if it doesn't come from nature." The Society of Architectural Historians describes the Sagrada Familia as a living, breathing, concrete mountain. At the top of its spires lie apples, grapes, oranges stacked upon each other as if in a supermarket. However, the most mesmerizing part of this piece of architecture is its interior. Its ceilings resemble a canopy of a majestic forest with light seeping in from the top windows like sun rays poking through a crisp white forest. You may be in the inside of the building, but it feels like being outside in nature. Ralph C. Smedley, the founder of Toastmasters, describes leadership as the ability to look ahead, to think ahead, to plan ahead, and influence others to move ahead with you. This is no different to what Anthony Gaudi did with the Sagrada Familia. He demonstrated that by building upon the basics, you can achieve greatness. That being said, I believe his most memorable lesson is his realization that his project was the collection of future generations. He said, "I will grow old, but others will come after me. What must be maintained is the spirit of the work, and it remains alive in the generations it is handed to, in which it lives and is incarnated." Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica Oraro. A round of applause for Monica, please. Thank you. Fantastic. And of course, we've heard from Monica, nothing is art if it doesn't come from nature. We want to take a short break on that note. And of course, I did a sucky job as a timer as well. I should have shown Monica my yellow card and my red card. Monica, I left it at, on my lectern there. So I just remembered while I was seated here and I was wondering now, how do I do it? But nonetheless, you've actually kept time. And thank you very much for that. We shall hear also from Matthew George on the other side of a break. And of course, a lot more during this session of a model of Toastmasters experience. Don't go away. If you want to know about more, if you want to know more about Toastmasters, make sure you keep your eyes peeled also on the other side of a break when we shall be also having the job session and the table topics as well. We shall introduce that also much later in the course of the program. Hit us on Twitter. AMLiveNTV is a Twitter handle. AMLiveNTV, our profile name on Facebook, and 20686, our SMS button. Hello, welcome back to the Leadership Forum, and today, of course, we're getting a slice of a Toastmaster or Toastmasters experience, what really goes on amongst the 20 clubs that we do have in the country. There's Kwanza Kenya, there's a Smart Speak, there's Sema Club, amongst many that we're going to be discussing this morning. Also Ruaraka Toastmasters Club as well. We heard from Monica Oraro. She gave us her speech from Project 4 of the Competent Communication Manual. And right now we're going to hear from Matthew George, who is the president of Smart Speak. And this is drawn from Project 6. It's all about vocal variety. And it says here from the manual that your voice is the link between you and your listener. It is the primary medium for conveying your message. What kind of voice do you have? Is it rich, exciting, and easy to listen to? All speakers should work to develop a voice that enhances their words and attracts listeners' attention. A good speaking voice has several qualities. It is, 1, pleasant, conveying a sense of friendliness; natural, reflecting the true personality and sincerity of the speaker; forceful, conveying vitality and strength, even when it isn't especially loud; expressive, demonstrating various shades of meaning, never sounding monotonous and emotionless; lastly also, easily heard as a result of proper volume and clear articulation. So this time I want to introduce the person that who will be evaluating Matthew George. This is Alligator Makori, and he will give us the objectives of this particular speech. Alligator.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Matthew George will be handling project number 6 on vocal variety. And as has been articulated, the voice is the link between the speaker and the audience. George will attempt to use voice volume, pitch, rate, and quality to reflect and add meaning and interest to his message. He will also endeavor to use pauses to enhance his message, and also to use his vocal variety smoothly and naturally. Within 5 to 6 minutes, his speech will be titled, "It's Not About Age, It's About Attitude." It's not about age, it's about attitude. Matthew George.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and make me welcome Matthew George. It's not about age, it's about attitude. Thank you.
My son, you're old enough now, but you're not laborious enough. You still don't have a real job. And you, my daughter, you're past the marriageable age. When are you going to get married? When I was your age, I had hopes and dreams. I achieved some of them, but now it's too late for me. I'm an old-timer. Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, society today seems to have decided. Decide what you want to do with your life at this age. Get a degree at this age. Get a job at this age. Get married and have children at this age. And if you miss the bus, if you do any of these things too late, your life is a failure. And it seems to have caught on. Many of us doubt ourselves, and we go through life with low self-confidence because we were not able to match up to society's ideals. But what if you could go through life without caring at all about your age? What if I told you that age didn't matter at all? Well, I'm here to share 3 stories with you to prove that society's notions are just gibberish, garbage, and gobbledygook. Tamae Watanabe was a public officer in Japan. In 1977, she climbed Mount McKinley, and then Mont Blanc, and then Mount Kilimanjaro. After her retirement at the age of 63, she became the world's oldest woman to climb Mount Everest. 10 years later, at the age of 73, she beat her own record by climbing it again. But why look abroad? Right here in Kenya, we've all heard about our hero, Kimani Maruge, who made world headlines for being the oldest primary school pupil in the world at age 84. What you might not know is that his record was beaten by Priscilla Sitiene from the Rift Valley, who at the age of 90 was attending primary school with 6 of her great-grandchildren. Why does she do it? She wants to learn how to read the Bible and pass on her local customs and traditions. The third and final story is about a lady named Annie, who was born in India at a time and a place when getting a degree was not typically something that was accorded to women, because their place was seen to be in the home. Annie defied her father and applied for a scholarship. She went to Rome and studied medicine. At the age of 35, while women around her in India were getting married much earlier, she got married at 35 and had 3 happy, healthy children. In fact, she had a last born at the age of 44. She's now 72 and a well-respected medical practitioner, right here in Kenya. How do I know this? She's the lady who taught me how to read, write, and speak. She is my mother. Ladies and gentlemen, one thing I've noticed with all these people that have accomplished something in their lives is that they stop being paralyzed by the fear of age. In fact, they stop thinking about age altogether. They stopped letting society define who they are and what they can and cannot do. In this room, we're different by many parameters, but we're also equal. We're equal in the pursuit of our dreams. So I invite you all to embrace your age and realize that it's never too late to do anything, because it's not about age, it's about attitude. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Of course, we've had the prepared speeches from our speakers this morning. Matthew George just off the lectern right now. We want to move on with this particular program to the next session, where we'll have a breather beat before we do the evaluation of the speeches. And this also is part sometimes of the program where we have impromptu speeches, right? This is just right off the mark, and we consult with the speakers here to tell us what topics they might choose for the impromptu speeches. And we want to, right now, assign Jared Ouko to give us this particular impromptu speeches, or speech I should say. And I will consult with my panelists here.
I didn't know about that.
That's why it's an impromptu.
That's why it's an impromptu, yeah. You're the one we've actually chosen this morning. So I will urge us to just maybe, if we've got pieces of paper or papers here, we can actually try and write a particular topic for Jared to speak on this morning. I don't know what that, if you have pens, yeah, you have papers as well. Let's just do that for...
That's too impromptu.
All right, so I'll write mine as well, so that now we can try and choose one. And Jared is going to give us that particular impromptu speech. So this is just basically to make you speak off the cuff, unprepared, you know. And that is also a good element of a good speaker. So how our Toastmasters are just doing exactly that. If you have them ready, can you just pass them over? So I'm not looking at any of this. Alligator, where's yours? Angela and Matthew. They're passing them to me this morning. There we go. Have we left any? So 3, mine as well. Thank you. So Jared, remember you have your mic on. You can walk over to the lectern, as I will give you the topic momentarily. I gave you Jared's, of course, intro at the beginning of the program. He's the founder of the International Coach Federation Kenya chapter and the first president of that federation. Also a very instrumental past president, Toastmasters International Kenya chapter, advanced speaker, Toastmasters International, that is communication and leadership. Also first runner-up International Speech Contest 2007, 2008, Toastmaster International. So Jared, here we are. So for mine, I've not been able to write, but we have 3 of them. Okay. This is the topic. To be or not to be? You have 4 minutes.
Or not to be is a question that runs in each and everyone's mind every time they find themselves in a situation that requires quick action. And the choice that you make during that moment can determine whether you're going to be a success or a failure, or somebody who has no choice about his life or a direction where he or she wants to go. So viewer, to be or not to be is a question that everyone must answer, because in many occasions you'll be on a journey and you'll find yourself at a crossroad where you must make a decision that determines who you're going to be. So what are some of those choices that will determine who you're going to be, and how are you going to make a decision to make a choice of which direction to take that is going to make you a success, regardless of where the journey takes you? So let's say, for example, you're not married. Would you like to be married or not? You want to give a speech, an impromptu speech like I'm giving now. Are you going to give it or not? What are some of the life goals that you have in terms of where you want to go? And what is it that you need to do to become who you'd like to be by executing the plans and the intricacies of what you'd like to do to get you where you'd like to go? So what is it that you're going to decide tonight or this morning or this moment in terms of a direction your life is going to take? When I think about what I wanted to be when I was 3, I kept on singing, I'd like to be an engineer. I looked at my dad and I said, Daddy, I'd like to be who you are. Mom wanted me to be a doctor. My sisters and brothers didn't even know what I was supposed to be. But I knew within myself that that was a choice that I needed to make myself. And I grew up, went to high school, and the dreams died. And in many occasions, life will send bends to us, or will send us through different terrains of life that kills our dreams. So, are you going to be a fulfiller of your dream or not? Are the things that are facing you in life going to make you make a choice not to follow your dreams or not? What is it that you'd like to become? What is it that within you, as you think right now, you'd like to decide in terms of a direction in your life? But on the flip side, maybe there are things that you've done that are not right. Maybe there are things that you've done that have made you become who you are now, and you'd like to change that. And as Matthew George says, it's never too late to make a choice and make a bow turn and go the right direction. You can make a 360 or 180 degrees and do the right thing. You can start on a new slate, open a new leaf, and start writing the story of your life. That choice is in your hands. So to be or not to be, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jared. All right, make sure you start writing the story of your life. That is an impromptu speech, to be or not to be, from Jared Ouko. Of course, also, my task is a laborious one this morning. I'm trying to be the host, the timer, the Toastmaster of the day. Juggling all these frogs also is proving to be a bit difficult. But for now, we want also to invite Alligator Makori to walk over to the lectern, at least to get to laugh a bit. He will make sure that he does this. Tickle our funny bone, right? So let's see how it goes with the Joke Master. Of course, we introduced this particular session at the top of the hour, and this is it, also part of the session that we do have in the Toastmasters program. Alligator, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Due to the short time that we have on air, my jokes will be brief, and I will invite at least 2 from yourselves. So be ready, audience. First up, why is it that we never see elephants hiding in trees? Any guess?
Because they're too big to hide.
Because they are so good at it. What is red and goes up and down? Just take a moment and think about it. It's red and it goes up and down.
It's a fuel gauge.
Traffic lights.
Fantastic. It is a tomato in an elevator. Over to you, audience, for your jokes.
If you take 3 oranges from 2, what do you have, Angela?
2 oranges.
Oh, sure, you got it right.
Is that it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, when you take 2 from 3, what do you have? You have 2 with you.
Thank you. Who goes next? Let me ask, want to give an impromptu joke, the final one? And this will be, okay, you want to go again?
I remember on Sunday.
Welcome, Jared.
On Sunday, an old man woke up in church during prayer session. And during prayer session, the prayer facilitator writes down the needs of the audience. And this old man woke up at the end and he said, please don't write this. And he goes, I was followed by some people when I was going home, and a flashed light, and I drove much faster, and I decided to turn and change my direction so I didn't go home. But eventually I decided that these people are following me too much. Let me get into a police station. So he decided to stop, and these people stood right behind him, and he drove off again, and they followed him. So he decided, after all, let me go home. So he drove all the way home, and these people were right behind him, only to come out and he said, I didn't realize they were my grandchildren.
Okay, thank you very much.
Maybe, can I give an attempt?
Please,
right?
Debarl.
Without stereotyping, of course, we know Luyas, they love some things. So we had this Luya man that was knocked down by a border. And of course, he fainted. Guys were actually there crowding over him. They masked, trying to, give him a first aid. Then they had someone saying, hey, mleteni maziwa. Mleteni maziwa. Then the lawyer man said, namukate pia.
Okay, thank you. That marks the end of the joke session. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Alligator Makori. That is just a slice of what we normally have with the jokes sessions as well. Of course, you have to prepare for the jokes so that you don't get to laugh, you alone or by yourself. Right now, we want to go to the table topics. This is a session where also is a snippet of just impromptu speeches, and this will be led by Matthew George, who will walk over to the lectern again to lead this particular session of the table topics. Matthew, over to you.
Thank you, Debarl. Now, for the benefit of the guests, table topics it's one of the fun parts of the meeting, but it's also a little terrifying for members and guests, and this is because you can be called upon at random, just as Jared was told to do, although he handled it so skillfully. You can be called upon to speak for a minute on a topic that is of my choice. So you will have to speak for a minute. Debarl will be timing you, and he will flash the red card once you've crossed the 1 minute line. So be prepared. If you could live your life all over again, what would you do differently? Monica.
If I had a chance to go back in time, I don't think I would do anything differently. I have had the experience to have adventure, something that I feel passionate about. I've got the opportunity to climb Mount Kenya, which was a real goal for me, and an unforgettable experience. I have met people from all walks of life, especially at Toastmasters. I've also had the opportunity to explore both my artistic side through arts and my analytical side through my work, which I found very fulfilling. And I think I have tried to live life in the moment. And so I have no reservations about doing life the same way that I have so far.
Right. Thank you, Monica. Once again, for the guests, Table Topics sharpens your impromptu speaking skills. You'll be asked a question sometimes and you have to speak off the cuff. So Table Topics helps prepare you for this. Next question. You're walking with your 7-year-old son next to a construction site. There is a deep hole in the ground where they're about to put up a skyscraper. Explain to your son why the hole needs to be as big as it is. Jared.
All right, Johnny, that's a very intelligent question. In fact, I'm actually surprised that you've asked me that question. But Dad, I'm intelligent, you know that. Oh, good. You know, this big hole that you can see those people down there? And those excavators lifting out things? The reason this is that deep is because life must have what we call a foundation. And tall buildings require that, because that makes them to be strong and upstanding, just like a tall tree. You see that tall tree over there? It's much taller, but the reason it's standing that upright and strong is because the roots are deep down and it's holding it up. So the same with this tall building that they're trying to dig the hole for. So the hole is a representation of where the roots are going to be. So they're going to use these pillars or these steels to be on the ground to make it what it's supposed to be.
Excellent. Thank you, Jared. Next question. You have had a dog for nearly 10 years. And suddenly, one day, your dog decides to speak to you. What would you want to tell your dog, Alligator?
Dog, well done. I've been trying to teach you how to speak for 10 years. And finally, we have made it. Wonderful. You have been a faithful servant of me. From today, I want you to learn my mother tongue. Now that you can speak, I want us to be able to cut everyone out when we are alone in the house and there are guests who have come. We should be able to speak mother tongue, and I tell you who you should chase away and who you should be friendly to. So well done, dog, and on to the new adventure of learning mother tongue.
Right. Thank you, Alligator. You've gone skydiving. You're in the plane. Your instructor has prepared you for the jump. It's nearly time to just step onto the ledge and dive. But you suddenly realize that you're not going to go through with it, and you cannot. Explain to your instructor why. Angela.
Mark, I know this will break your heart. You have spent so much time preparing my mind for a moment such like this. But let me tell you something. Having been on this earth for over 4 decades, I have learned to be real with myself. So I could jump off this plane to please you. Or I could jump off this plane and never recover from the most life-threatening, earth-shattering, questioning experience of my life. I am sitting here and asking myself, why are you doing this? What have you got to prove to anybody? You have always been terrified of heights, and at least now you can go up an elevator that goes up 16 floors without screaming. Why are you doing this, Angie? Mark, let me tell you something. I thank you for the effort and the confidence you've had in me. You believed I could do this. I believed I could do it. But life has prepared me for moments such as this. I will not do it.
Excellent. Thank you, Angela. And that wraps up our table topic session. You've been amazing members and guests. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matthew George, there with that session of table topics, just to make sure also that, yes, we're really apt when it comes to off-the-mark speeches. Right. I know you picked that, Jared. My R's are too many. Maybe I'm the one who's leading today. We'll find out the results, right? These are actually crutches that we normally use in speeches are, you know, the pauses in between as well. But right now, we want to drill deeper into part of the program that I think is very pivotal because of today's speeches as well. And this is the evaluation of the speeches. We began with Monica Oraro's speech. And we have also the evaluator who will walk to the podium right now to give us a sense of how she fared as per the objectives that we had from Project 4 of the competent communicator or competent communication manual, that is how to say it. So we'll want once more to ask Alligator Makori. Angela Area, I think you're the one who's evaluating Monica. Just walk over to the lectern to give us a sense of how Monica fared with her speech this morning. Was she captivating, compelling, absorbing? That's what we want to hear this morning.
Let me first begin by applauding you, Monica, for delivering your speech within the allocated time. You spoke for 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Well done for that. That is really a hallmark of a good speaker, your ability to convey your message within the time given. This project required Monica to use words beautifully, in a nutshell, to paint pictures in the eyes of her audience, because this is a listening audience. And she did that very well. How she was going to achieve this was using language devices, short sentences, short words, incorporating rhetorical devices. Monica, you educated us and enthralled us with the history of Anthony Gaudi, I beg your pardon, who was a revolutionary architect of the 20th century. You used alliteration with words such as revered and reviled, and that gave it a rhythmic feel. Sounds very beautiful to the ear. You also used imagery such as hideous building and then three-dimensional diagrams. Now, talking about an architectural subject to people who are not students or followers of art could be laborious, but your beautiful use of language removed the labor out of understanding your message. Very well done for that. You also had excellent diction and an excellent command of language. What could you have done better? I believe that you could have expanded the range of rhetorical devices that you used. So you relied very heavily on metaphor and, yes, metaphor and imagery. You had the whole expanse of other devices like similes, triads. You could even have asked a rhetorical question. Like, have you ever heard of the San Gaudi Familia? To just wrap us in from the beginning of your presentation. Also, whenever you begin your presentation, begin with a bang. So you started a little soft and then picked up and carried the momentum throughout. You have poise and confidence and a likability around you, which gives you an air of sincerity. And that made us believe everything that you said. I wanted to ask, earlier on in the speech, might there have been an opportunity when you introduced the idea of a hideous building to elaborate on it? You made a mention of it and then proceeded to give us a little more history about the architect, not what made the building hideous. When you came back to refer to the building, it was in a positive light. So that sort of caused a bit of confusion for me. So use the idea and expand it a little bit and then wrap it up. All in all, you have done justice to this project. You speak beautifully, clear diction, and I have no hesitation in recommending that you move on to your next project. Well done, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Angela Varia, evaluating Monica Oraro there. And we want now to also give this handy opportunity to Alligator Makori, who will be evaluating the speech made by Matthew George. He was attempting Project 6 of the Competent Communication Manual, which requires a vocal variety. So did he espouse that from his speech as well? We want to hear from the evaluator himself, Alligator Makori, who is on the lectern right now. Alligator.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. First and foremost, well done for a fantastic speech, Matthew George. How long did Matthew George take to deliver his speech?
Matthew George took 4 minutes and 6 seconds.
4 minutes and 6 seconds. That means that you did not use your time completely, but Debarl will be happy with that because
yes,
he wanted brevity on air. I loved your speech. The opening was powerful because you started with a conversation between a father and son. It's more like the father telling the son, they have not done this and that. That's captivating when you open a speech with a story, a conversation. And then you went on to use a speech device that is so good. And if you master it, you'll find yourself being a top-notch speaker, guests, and my fellow Toastmasters. This is a triad. Remember, he characterized pop notion about age and what you should do by what time as gibberish, garbage, and gobbledygook. Quite provocative. And when you are provocative in your speech, you really captivate people. You capture their attention, and that's fantastic. However, you were working on vocal variety. And this is the masterful use of voice. How do you vary the volume, the pitch, the rate of speech, and the quality of your voice? I must say that you did this very well. The volume was good. You knew how to ensure that everybody in the audience hears you. Your rate of speech, power in your speech, in your voice, was comfortable for everybody to hear. So well done. In this regard, I would, however, ask you to increase your range. The power in your voice was fairly constant or varying within a narrow range. Are you able to do that? Maybe instead of saying the father talked to his son and said, son, and the conversation goes on. Are you able to show the emotion with which his father is speaking by adding power to that voice by probably more volume or a higher pitch? One wonderful aspect about your speech also is that you wove in stories. And you talked about a mountaineer whose name I didn't capture, Kimani Maruge, a legend, another legend, Priscilla, CTNA. You talked about Annie. You talked about your own mother. Very close, really, to your heart. That was fantastic. However, these are, in 4 minutes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different stories, including the first opening story of father and son. Probably these are too many, and therefore you didn't dwell on any story and tease out the lessons that you wanted us to take home. That is something that you can improve for next time. However, you are a great speaker already. You know how to command the lectern and to really speak to the hearts of the audience by the masterful use of your voice, excellent diction, and fantastic grammar. I'm not the grammarian today, but I think your grammar is high up there. I have no hesitation at all, George, in recommending that you move on to the next project. Mr. Toastmaster.
Congratulations, Matthew George. He moves on to the next project, evaluation of the speech there of Matthew George. delivering on Project 6 of the Competent Communication Manual. We want now to listen to the evaluation of Jared Ouko, how he fared with the impromptu speech. This is unprepared speech off the cuff, and this will be taken over now by Monica Oraro, who will walk over to the lectern to just tell us how he fared as well. As I mentioned, I gave Monica the introduction they had. You could be working, as I'm just, of course, I'm trying to bide my time so that you can be at the lectern as well. He is the president of Toastmasters Kenya. That is Kwanza Kenya, I should say. They meet at the United Club here in Nairobi. Monica.
Thank you. Jared, to be or not to be? Impromptu. I found your speech to be spectacular. One, because I liked the direction you took. It was, for me, an inspirational speech. I felt that you used several skills of a very advanced speaker. The first is you asked an audience, you asked the audience a question. And for them, you're asking them, if you want to be successful, this is the question that you need to ask. You gave examples. You know, if you want to get married, you need to answer this question. If you need to give an impromptu speech the way you just did, you need to ask yourself this question as well. What I especially liked is the fact that you challenged your audience with various questions. You gave us examples from your own life. You talked about the time when you were 3, you wanted to be an engineer, and by the time you got to high school, your dreams were completely different. And that's something that we can all relate to. You also gave us an example of looking at things on the flip side and using this as an opportunity to make a 360-degree turn in your life. And I felt all these things helped to inspire your audience. What I felt you could have improved on was the structure of your speech. I appreciate that it's an impromptu speech, but I felt that you had so many ideas, and it would have been good to structure them in a particular manner. I also enjoyed your vocal variety, particularly the way you pace yourself and the way you pitch your voice from high to low to emphasize the key aspects of your speech. I have therefore no reservation in recommending that you move on to the next speech. Well done.
All right, we want to also thank you, Jared, for that as well. Very, very interesting conversation we've had this morning. It's hearing from our speakers. And we want now to see how we fared also with the roles as well. And this will be the moment that, yes, I'll hand over now to also our panelists to tell us how we fared with the roles. I bet I'm on time and I'm smack dab in the middle. Am I? You know, it's been a while since I did this. We can begin with the Heartmaster, which was being handled by Angela Barrea.
My first question, how old is Annie, George's mother?
72.
Well done, very good. There was a quote that was given in one of our presentations. It's not about your age. Please complete the quote. It's about your attitude. Excellent. Action without vision merely passes time. This quote is attributed to who?
Jared Ouko.
No way. This quote is attributed to Joel A. Baker. When will the sun... Well, that's Jared, donated by Matthew Jones, right? When will the Sagrada Familia be completed?
You done?
Why did you come with that?
In 2026, as Monica informed us. And lastly, The woman, what is the name of the woman who went to school at the age of 90 with 6 of her great-grandchildren?
Oh, of course, Priscilla Citiene.
Excellent, Alligator. It looks like we were clued in to our listening. One other question. How many Toastmasters clubs do we have in Kenya, Debarl?
20.
Well done. I think today our listening antenna has been up there. We've done a brilliant job of listening. Over to you.
Thank you very much. And of course, Angela, she has been the Heartmaster. This is just to test our listening skills. Let's hear also from our grammarian this morning, and maybe for the benefit of our viewers who joined us this morning and they don't know the roles that we introduced this morning, we could actually do that again before now you give us the results on how we fared.
Fantastic. So my role was to monitor the use of the English language during the meeting and also to introduce the word of the day. The word of the day today was laborious, which means involving great exertion or long efforts. This was used twice by our Toastmaster today, Debarl, once by Matthew and once by Angela. There was excellent use of the English language. Matthew used Miss the Bus, a triad, gibberish, garbage, gobbledygook, and paralyzed by fear. Debarl used right off the mark, Jared, terrains of life, write the story of your life, life must have a foundation. Angela, life-threatening, earth-shattering, the hallmark of a good speaker, carry momentum, the air of sincerity, and Alligator, brevity on air. There were a few improper uses of the English language. Jared, pick up a feedback instead of give feedback. Alligator, faithful servant of me instead of my faithful servant. And Angela, such like this instead of such as this. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Monica. Right, let's give it over now to Jared Oko to tell us his role that he was of course holding this morning, and just to refresh our viewers who are joining us this morning.
Okay, my role today was twofold. One was to be the out counter for the meeting, and two, to give master evaluation. So shall I walk there, or I can do it here?
All right, just walk over. Maybe you can double them together. He has to walk over to the lectern to Jacob. He's a master evaluator. All right, so Jared Oko, he's a master evaluator, and he's going to tell us how we fared on the show today, and also the R counter.
So Viva, today was a model Toastmasters club meeting that if you happen to visit any club within the country, you'll find more or less the modeling that has been demonstrated today as part of the proceedings. And my role was twofold. One is to be the R counter, which means you count the pause fillers or interjected words into a speech moment that you don't need to. So these are inappropriate use of your speech by interjecting or getting pauses inappropriately. Maybe let me start with that R counting. So Debarl, you had 6 pause fillers. Monica, you had 4 pause fillers. I had 1. It's always important to listen to yourself too.
How sure are we?
I was very sure, because I can credibly say that. Then Alligator, you had 1, and then Matthew George, you had 1. So well done, everybody else. But next time, listen to yourself so that you know when to get a pause that is more pregnant and more appropriate. In terms of the general evaluation, this is an individual within a meeting, and this role is assigned to every member, or you volunteer to take up this role, because we learn by doing so. The more you get the roles or into roles, the better you get to learn. So my role on this was to give a feedback, listen through the meeting, and then give a feedback. Now, this is what makes this Toastmasters Club proceeding very critical and very important, because you get to learn as you grow. How many of you in your organizations get to run a meeting, then sit back and get a feedback on how you did. Now, this is what we do at Toastmaster. So the meeting started on time. We all arrived on time. And the person who was going to be our host or Toastmaster today was Debarl, and he was here right on time to meet us and welcome us. So he doubled us up as a person who is inviting members into the club meeting, and this one we always have. So he did the introductions very well. Then after that, we had the business section, which was run by Matthew George. This is where we have issues we discuss in-house keeping activities that we have in place, and he did that very well. Perhaps, George, what you could have shared with the audience is that we use a parliamentary procedure, which means that everybody else has a chance to speak, and everything that is done based on a point of order. So we have got Robert's Rule of Order as a book that governs the running of clubs globally. Then the Toastmaster was introduced, and we welcomed him. Then he took over and introduced all the role takers. And in a Toastmasters club, there are many roles. And he introduced all the roles that were taken, and people doubled up to take all of them, like the grammarian, the accounter, the Heartmaster, the joke master, the table topics master, the timer, which he also doubled as, and then the guests. Now you as the audience, you are our guests, and then the impromptu speech, getting people to sweat more like they made me do. Then we went into prepared speeches, which were delivered succinctly by two very accomplished speakers. And you realize that during evaluations, one of the evaluators said that you didn't go beyond the mark. So when you're asked to give a speech, there's a particular limit. You cannot go beyond, and you cannot stay behind. So that was very nicely done. Then the evaluations were very well done, and feedback was given in terms of areas of improvement, and I believe that was very well done. And I believe that when you take up this feedback positively, the next meeting will be different from what we had today. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you, Jared. And of course, I know you've evaluated all, but I didn't have my share to tell you how we did on time, because also I was acting, as Jared has said, as a timekeeper here in the morning. And because of interest of time, right, we cannot really go through all these minutes that I've actually put up here, but you did well within time. We really do appreciate. And of course, they say, right, that punctuality is the politeness of kings and the courtesy of princesses. I really want to appreciate our panelists this morning, who are from the Toastmasters, different clubs here in the country. Just to give us your parting shots, 30 seconds, beginning with Matthew George. How can you also tell Kenyans about your club briefly within 30 seconds as we're running out?
Toastmasters meets in Parklands twice a month. That's the first and third Tuesday of every month. We meet at 6:30 p.m. SmartSpeak was established in 2004 and is the mother of so many clubs within Nairobi. I would advise you to come visit us because we are vibrant, we're cosmopolitan, we're welcoming, and we have champions. We are the home of champions.
Thank you, Matthew. Angela.
Kwanza Kenya Toastmasters Club, the oldest, the first club that has birthed literally all the clubs in Kenya. We meet on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month at 6:15 for 6:30. We are very punctilious about time at United Kenya Club, which is opposite St. Paul's Chapel. Stop sitting on the fence, make your mark in this world, improve your communication skills, join a Toastmasters Club today.
Thank you very much. Alligator Makori, briefly, 30 seconds.
I am from the Ruaraka Toastmasters Club, which is on the Thika Superhighway at the KBL headquarters. You're most welcome to join us first and third Tuesdays of every month. I'll repeat that, first and third Tuesdays of every month from 5:30 p.m. 90 minutes meeting.
Thank you. Jared.
Every time you get a chance to speak before people, you've got 7% words to say, 38% tone variation to use, and a whopping 55% body language. And this helps you to craft your speech and deliver it deliver it succinctly to the pleasure of your audience, whether it's one or more.
Thank you.
And I'll ask you to join Toastmasters because that is what enhances your ability to communicate.
Thank you. And finally, the president of Kwanza Kenya Toastmasters.
I wish to conclude by saying that there are several Toastmasters clubs in Kenya, and you can simply find out the closest one to you by going to toastmasters.org. It is a positive, friendly environment where you can get to practice your leadership and communication skills.
Thank you very much. And of course, I'll be remiss if I don't read just one. Ability to express oneself and to clearly articulate issues to the full understanding of your audience is a key requisite of a good leader. This is what Emmanuel Ongeri is saying. And also we have Dennis Sagwe saying, I have learned a lot from you guys. And yes, I want to appreciate our panelists this morning. Thank you very much for your valued company as well. Living with Us is up next.